Hello and welcome to the Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Well, this week began Lent, the most solemn period in the Christian calendar that leads to Easter. And Lent commemorates Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness being tempted by the devil. Christians are called to fast, to reflect, and give up something for the same period. But for the thousands of persecuted Christians, Lent has taken on a more turbulent and dangerous tone and hence changed the Lenten period for all the faithful. Here with more is Father Gerald Murray. He's a Catholic Church expert and head of the United Nations Parish Church of the Holy Family. Welcome to you, Father.
Thank you, Lauren.
So what is Lent supposed to be about?
Lent is preparing for Easter. So Lent is a time when we imitate Jesus in the desert. He spent 40 days there. He was tempted by the devil. He overthrew the devil very clearly. And that's our goal, to get the devil's influence out of our life and to become more Christ-like. And we do that precisely through making sacrifices and praying. And another thing is to give money to the poor. Now, Christ didn't do it in the desert, but he instructed us that we should do that.
So with this onslaught of persecuted Christians, this is something that's been happening more and more in the Middle East. The Christians are being persecuted in ways that they've not been persecuted for centuries. How is Lent for them? If you're being persecuted, I mean, your whole life is about Lent.
Yes, Lent has become one of the ways that they can understand and interpret what's happening to them. They are with Christ literally on the way to Calvary. And in fact, there have been many martyrs, many people who, like Christ, have given their lives. And horribly, ISIS has even crucified some of the Christian brothers and sisters in Syria and Iraq. So for us in the West, where we're not undergoing this kind of persecution, this is a time for us to be conscious of how precious our faith is. If our brothers and sisters in Iraq and Syria are able to bear that cross and do it with great faith, we have to resist temptations to be slack in our faith. We should be more strong. And we talked about giving money. We should give money to help those Christians who are in refugee camps, who have been driven out of their homes. That would be a real duty for us to think of them.
You know, Pope Francis said in the Ash Wednesday service, which Ash Wednesday begins Lent, he says Lent is a beneficial time of pruning from falsity, from worldliness, from indifference, to not think that everything is okay. If I am okay, to understand that what counts is not approval. This almost seems like a direct reference to persecuted Christians.
It is, and I think it's also a reference to us in the West because, you know, we can become very self-centered and say, my life is good, I don't have too many problems, money in the bank, you know, roof over my head. That's not the experience of many people in the world. In fact, Lent is a reminder that this world is a preparation for the next. One way we prepare to go to heaven is by treating our neighbors as we would want them to treat us. So, you know, giving of our riches to help others. But the Pope also said, you know, there's sort of a self-satisfaction that can creep into life, which is if my life is pretty good, what am I going to think about others for? That's the ultimate selfishness the Pope is going after. We are on this earth in order to help others. That's absolutely clear.
And, you know, there's some practical steps that the Pope is taking, too, because he's meeting with the Russian Patriarch today, or this week, and that is a huge step that he's making towards helping persecuted Christians. How does that help?
Yes, because the Patriarch of Moscow, Patriarch Kirill, is very intent on helping the persecuted Christians. Many of them are Orthodox in Syria and in Iraq and in other parts of the Middle East. The Pope likewise has that interest for not only Catholics but for all Christians. How does this help? Because the world has to focus. When two religious leaders who had never met before, in fact, there's been a split between the Russian Orthodox and the Catholic Church for 1,000 years, when they say we've got to get together and discuss this, world leaders should focus on it and say, we can't stand by and let people kill people because of their faith. We have to do something. So
the Christians are sort of coming together. It's the safety in numbers, you know, we're more stronger together. And
union of purpose, when we see that most important is that we defend our religious freedom and that we defend those who are suffering, disputes that we have otherwise are put aside. And that's really what life is all about, finding what God wants of us at this moment.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Father Gerald Murray. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you so much, too, for watching Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.